Hey everyone, I'm here with Ashleigh Kramer. She's level two certified Ask a Coach and at Rochester Aquatics in Minnesota. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Abby. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Got my coffee. We're good to go.
Yes, yes, love that. All right, so can you tell me a bit about how you got started in swimming?
Yeah, I've actually been swimming my whole life. I was born in Texas, kind of closer to you, and swim lessons right away. We moved up to Rochester, Minnesota when I was 6, and that's when my parents found the club that I work at now, which is kind of cool. And I grew up here, went over to Wisconsin, and I swam for school for a little while. And then I came back. I started working at Mayo Clinic, and I wanted to reconnect with my club team. And I started part-time coaching and then working with the lessons program and just haven't looked back. So
That's
it's been,
awesome. That's really cool to hear. What's been your favorite part about working with the lessons program?
oh my gosh. My favorite part has probably been the team that we've been able to build. We have probably not a unique situation, but a very cool situation where a lot of our athletes are our swim instructors. And I got to do that when I was their age too. So getting to kind of be that first job and first boss, but also a Swiftie. So, we're safe here.
Yes.
It's that's a lot of fun. And then we've also in the past few years started to look at really great adults in our community and bringing them onto the lessons team.
Yeah,
And that's just been fun to have a great staff of people doing something cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, when did you start getting into Swim America as your program?
Oh, it's been well over 10 years in Rochester. And they've been doing a really great job with it. We ring the bell and we have a little star board that we are constantly filling up as we have advancements. And so that's been really awesome to see the evolution of the Swim America program from, what we started with right out of the box. And then, when myself and Nancy kind of came in and took over and built it into a little bit different situation, but still with all of the same core values, which has been really cool to see take off.
Yeah, this starboard. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, you interviewed Rose from Davis a little while back, and she's actually where I took that inspiration from. She just has these little star post-its, and she writes the name out of the kids who advance, and we brought that over to Rochester, Minnesota. And the absolute coolest thing was what the first session when we filled that up before the session was over, and we had to
So
find a way
fun.
to make more space, and so that's always a creative solution. So.
No,
It's
I
good.
love that. There's like recognition immediately in the class, and then there's recognition in the long term of like, hey, look, my name's on the board. That's so fun.
Yes, it was probably the second or third week before I heard a kid say, "Oh my gosh, that's where my name is." And so,
Oh,
that's when I thought, okay, we need to be writing in clear, big font, and they need to be able to see it. And that is a big impact in us, in little small ways. So,
yeah, that's really cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I know we're gonna ask. Can we talk about your bridge program a bit and how you work your lessons into your team?
Absolutely. We are we're really lucky to be in our city facility at the rec center here. And when they built a different pool on top of our 50-meter pool space, we were able to start kind of thinking outside the box. And we had this little pond space that we were able to utilize during swim team practices, and we would put some of the higher levels there for a time. And then COVID came, and we had to really think outside of the box and
Yeah.
figure out solutions for kids. And over the course of, I would say, 5 years, we evolved the program into a bridge program that we call Prep Squad. And USA Swimming had a pre-competitive type thought. And so we took some of the big tenets from their pre-competitive program and some of
Mhm.
the things that Swim America focuses on in levels 7 through 10. And then we talked to our intro coaches on the swim team and tried to figure out what are the things that the kids need to either see or hear before they start on in a swim team group. and
Mhm.
what can be kind of overwhelming. And that's what Prep Squad became. We introduced fins, we introduced the clock and what going on the top means and what a 5 or 10 second interval is. We talk about what the line on the bottom of the pool is for and how to approach the wall and leave it safely when you're circle swimming. Because there are a lot of changes when you go from station swimming to
Mhm.
lane swimming. And even just laps can be a big deal for those kids. So, our
Definitely.
assistant director, Nancy, she does an incredible job with the Prep Squad program. And it really does serve as a graduate program from the kids who come from the Learn to Swim levels. It also is a great thing for the kids who are moving in from other lessons programs in our community, but they're interested in starting on our swim team. So how can they have, the best leg up into that? And that's a really great, it's a month long. It's, 4 weeks of a practice. You can come 1 or 2 or 3 times a week. And, it's been a really great service for more than just one group of kids.
Yeah. Do you find that a month long is enough time, or do you have kids repeating months at a time?
That really depends on the kid and their experience. We do have kids who just need to hear it and see it one time. A lot of younger siblings on the swim team, right? They've
Mhm.
seen their older sibling do it and they just want to get there. And then there are kids who prefer to take their time. And we
Mhm.
don't really force anybody out if we don't have to. We do have some age limits and things like that, but we will let them repeat. We do also like to make it exciting and
Yeah.
accessible to join the swim team. So our head coach, Tom, will come and he'll meet those kids and he'll invite them to the mini meets that he has going on with the red group, which is our intro group. So it's a lot of fun.
Nice. And so when we talked last about the bridge program, the red group, this introductory group, your head coach also runs in month-long intervals, correct?
Yes.
And
So
do
it's
you find this is super helpful for these kids to have this second introductory group as well?
We find that there are so many things that you can focus on that it does, it keeps it from, instead of addressing 15 things on a list, we're doing 7 here and 8 here.
Mhm.
And Tom is our head coach of the program. And so he's really the best coach to catch these kids, get them excited about what the swim team is, and, kind of introduce what they're going to hear from the rest of his staff through the age group and developmental um, programs. So I don't find that it's too redundant. I do see that it's nice for families to have things that are similar when there's also change
Definitely.
happening. So
Hmm.
we're on captain for our swim lesson program, and we love that. But Team Unify and Sports Engine still serves our swim team needs very well, especially for the back end on the meet side. So
Hmm.
there is a registration process change that our families have to go through when they move from prep squad over to swim team. So anything we can do to dominate those controllables and just keep that list short is what we're looking to do here.
Yeah. And how has this bridge program helped build, or your prep squad program helped build your swim team?
I would say that it gives us a really great starting place, a great foundation. Our starter kids on the team know what fins are. They might even know their size and they already have them. They're not intimidated to try them. They have gone from being able to do a couple legal breaststroke kicks to trying to do 25 and 50 yards of breaststroke with a legal kick at the same time.
Perfect.
And any intro swim team coach will tell you, right? Every kid is not perfect in the breaststroke kick, no matter how great they are in a lesson program. And so it's just one more way for them to kind of practice and build themselves up before they
Hmm.
start to put external pressures on themselves. I think all
Yeah.
of us, especially when we swam when we were younger, we remember swimming with some of the older kids or seeing those seniors practice and how loud it is when they're kicking. And kids pick that stuff up really quickly. And so I think that giving them any springboard is a good thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. And have you found that this program helps your retention rate of your swimmers that go from lessons to team?
I think so. We've definitely kept well over 50% of our prep squad graduates connect to the swim team. We've seen about 75% of those kids who have connected to the swim team stay. And, I don't know that I would assign success to any one percentage because kids get to choose, especially these days. There are a lot of
Yeah.
options what to do with their time. But I do think it's helpful to have a direction, a path,
Hmm.
and to just say, maybe swim team isn't for you, but you want to set your kid up to be a great lap swimmer or a lifeguard. And then maybe they take a break and then they think, oh my gosh, I do want to come back to the pool. And the bridge program is there to catch them instead of, reworking their wheel, and they just polish up and move forward. And then again, for those kids who maybe are moving into your community later than, everyone else who is established, and they would really love to swim on the team, and they just need kind of a starter package. That's something that I found that's really awesome here too.
Yeah, this is so cool to hear. So in Rochester,
Mhm.
what have you been doing with or how have you modified your swim lesson program to kind of help adapt to this bridge program?
Well, I would say having the bridge program takes a lot of pressure off of the stamina
Hmm.
that we have expected from our kids. We want them to be set up for success in the prep squad too. We don't ever want to say, okay, go 25 yards and it just be untenable. But we're able to focus on the technique and
Hmm.
that body and head position in the stroke and some of those more finer points of timing. So in our curriculum, our safety levels 1, 2, 3, 4 address, the breath control, bobs
Hmm.
and bubbles, floats, and then the survival elements. And then we give each stroke a level for through 5, 6, 7, 8. And let the kids really grapple with those things and start to work on somersaults and open turns and things like that. So that
Yeah.
when they do graduate level 8, we still have a bubbles to butterfly model. And then, they go into that prep squad, and that's where they really build into, full lengths of each stroke and understanding what a backstroke stroke count is and things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how has the Swim America model allowed you to be like to edit this?
Well, number one, being able to advance kids when they're ready to grapple with the next level is just the cornerstone of everything. It keeps them motivated. It keeps our instructors excited. They even have internal competitions on how many kids they can advance in their session, which is exactly where we want them to be. And then our parents feel valued too. And then having that cross-trained staff has also allowed us to offer levels 1 through 8 at the same time, where it really serves our families who might have a swim team swimmer over in the other pool. And then they have, a level 4 or 5 swimmer, and then they have their beginner youngest swimmer. And so just the flexibility of Swim America's program lets us serve our families better than I think anything else. So that's
Yeah.
been awesome.
I love that your instructors and your coaches have competitions with each other. How do you, as a program director, and maybe your site supervisors, if you have any, like manage the competition from moving kids up too fast?
Yeah, well, I would say that the coolest part of that element is it's been stemming from the instructors.
Mhm.
And it's very recent, and I think it's a positive symptom of some work that Nancy and I have done. We are trying to support our people at the foundation level. What is your schedule? How can we have a sustainable schedule? If they're student athletes, right, they're managing a lot and they're probably not in control of their vehicle.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if they're, adults who are in the community, either getting their degree or working at Mayo, or they have kids of their own, right? We're trying to give them the best foundation so that when they're at work, they can be their best selves and they can really be here and engage and have fun with the kids instead of thinking about all the things that's way too easy to get, distracted with. And I think that celebration that Nancy and I, will let, hey, Kaden just moved up a few kids tonight. That was awesome. And, we'll clap for her. And just positive recognition in public, right? And we
Mhm.
try not to single people out when we have maybe a moment to where we can identify an opportunity to improve, that's one-on-one, right? There's
Hmm.
respect there in that. But kind of saying, hey, we're seeing, what you guys are doing. I think that's been what's fed this. So I love that you asked me that question though, because we probably will need to make sure that we have a quality cap on that at some point, for sure.
Yeah. When your instructors move their swimmers up, do they move it up themselves, or do you or someone else come and like double check and make sure like this is good, or how do you go about that at your program?
Absolutely. We let the instructors know that, the best level of instructor could say, hey, this kid's ready to go. Let's see it. But, in our process, we have site supervisors and deck assistants that walk around with a spreadsheet. And we just have all the kids, it's really kind of old school, but we have all the kids listed in their level with all the skills in those
Hmm.
levels. And we just kind of make handwritten notes over the course of the lesson. And then we reprint those weekly, but we just don't like the feel of having a tablet in our
Oh
hands on a
yeah.
pool deck, for a
No, we don't
thousand
either.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's really nice to be able to see when that instructor is excited and confident in what they're seeing. And then, having that check and balance of Nancy saying, well, let's take a look at the flutter kick in that dolphin.
Yeah,
So, but
definitely.
yeah.
Do you have your, and this is just me asking because I'm curious, do your lessons run like one class a week or is it multiple classes a week? How does that work for when you reprint these sheets every week?
Absolutely. It's so we have both. So we've got
Okay.
a Saturday and a Sunday weekly class, and those
Hmm.
families come once a week on the weekends. And then Mondays and Wednesdays and Tuesdays and Thursdays, they meet twice a week.
Okay.
And we tell our families that for learning how to swim, you want to come as frequently as you can in one session and really get the benefit of that practice.
Hmm.
But for people who are working us in and they might commute, they can only get here
Yeah.
once a week. We don't want to box them out either. So, we usually just have all of those updated and then reprint on Friday nights, Saturday mornings. There have been times where we've kind of reused the sheet if there haven't been a lot of notes, but that's always a sad day for us. We want a lot of notes on those things.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
so yeah, we just try to keep it accessible in the moment, serving the kids when the lessons are happening. You need to have the tools you need, but also we don't need to be going crazy. um,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's really fun. We do have a couple instructors now who have been with us about 5 years, and we've seen
Awesome.
them start as a freshman in high school, right? And now they've come back, and they're doing some college work here. And the confidence and just the excitement that they get now when they're mentoring other instructors is that's the circle of life kind of thing that gets us excited because we know that
Yeah.
we've set up more lessons than
Yeah,
we can
no, that's
guarantee.
incredible. I love, how do you, okay, so you talked about celebrating your coaches. Are there any other things you do to kind of retain your coaches throughout the years?
Well, we always give it's a 50-cent raise every year, which is small, but I mean, it's a given and it's something that I think they take seriously. That, we get it, things change, there are new opportunities, but we want you to come back. We also are committed to paying by lesson for those private lessons and those larger infant and tot group lessons.
Hmm.
We want our instructors who take that special time to know that we value that. And we could not have those specific lessons without that person coming in every Tuesday. And so, I have seen a lot of different programs. They do really well with their bottom line with paying everybody hourly, but I feel their quality can kind of suffer for that, or at least depending on the balance of how their staff feels taken care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just we try to be transparent and communicative. We offer the chance to reset their schedule every session, even though, we're an at-will state and we tell everybody that, we'd love to have notice if you have a new opportunity, but you're always welcome to, just come or go. But we like to say, every 6 to 8 weeks has something changed. And I think getting out ahead of it like that and making it an open conversation versus something to be nervous about is
Hmm.
helpful, especially
Yeah.
when you can have the best people ever, but there are external factors that are gonna limit them. So
Yeah.
do you take it, or do you handle the program without them? So
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask, you mentioned paying by lesson for your private and like larger parent taught lessons.
mhm.
If you don't mind sharing, if you do mind, you can just say so. If I'm paid, for example, 15 an hour, what do you mean by paying by lesson for those
Yeah,
lessons?
absolutely. So our staff, we pay their private lesson rate is based on how many tags they are willing to post on their schedule. So if you're willing to teach adaptive lessons or adult lessons or infant and tot private lessons, then you'll get a higher private lesson rate because you can see a higher number of our community. And we also are not able to guarantee that every single private lesson spot will fill.
Hmm.
So our private lesson instructors will submit their availability and the tags that they're willing to post. And then after the lesson is performed, they'll write on their timesheet that they had a lesson from 6 to 6:30 on this date. And then we'll pay them by those lessons. And so that's one way that we honor people who have been willing to train into sometimes tougher lessons to teach. And then also to the people who are here a lot, right?
Hmm.
They're going to earn more. And we post their names on the captain site as well. So there is a little bit of that ownership out there and their accountability that their name is out there. So does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah. I was just curious. I was like, that's an interesting way to go about that.
Absolutely. We don't, not owning our own pool space, we've had to kind of build the private lesson
Hmm.
program up prescriptively, which has been an interesting situation. With Captain, we have been able to post some random, I would call them random private lesson spots alongside group lessons. So, for example, our 7:30 to 8 p.m. group lessons don't always fill. Sometimes we have 4 or 5 less swimmers. And instead of swimming and sending an instructor home, we would just post a private lesson spot. But those aren't guaranteed to fill, and is kind of a different situation. So we would usually keep people on hourly for that. Um, but in Minnesota in the winter, a lot of people don't have a problem with going home early. So
Yeah. No, I
uh,
understand. It's the same in Illinois for us. It's like,
I
oh,
bet, yeah,
no,
you
I'll
gotta
go home.
you gotta do what you can when you can. But
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure. So what has been your favorite thing about Swim America as you've grown your program?
Well, I know I've already said flexibility, but that really does ring true. And I feel like there's support. I've been able to talk to different program directors, Bill, yourself, and not be not I'm not even nervous about the kind of judgment calls that we've made here, and kind of adjusted the curriculum. I know that we're honoring the core values, and you guys have seen that too. And so then to just get to collaborate and make ourselves stronger with the ideas and the things that you guys are bringing out, that has been awesome. It's just good to have that sense of community, even though we're over here and you're over there.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's one of my favorite things is having these program director meetings and being able to talk with people from different places across the world, even.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my last question for you, what advice would you give to any new up and coming Swim America programs?
Don't be afraid to have fun. Don't be afraid to show your personality a little bit, especially to your staff. Just be real with them and do your best for them, and they'll do their best for you. Is truly what I've learned in the past
Yeah,
few years.
that's incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Abby. It was great to talk.
Good chat.